interesting. And then I look back at, I've also got sensitivity to MRIs.
Oh.
When I had an MRI scan, I had 3 of them because they were concerned that there may have been metastasis throughout my body because of the response I had. After I left there, I had 2 inches of inflammation. I mean, when I got the ultrasounds, I had maybe half an inch to an inch extra. After the MRI scan, 2 inches of inflammation just from having the scans done without contrast. Now, looking back, an MRI scan uses a really strong magnet to align metal, what has hydrogen ions, and then it goes and it disperses everything. Well, I'm wondering, and it's just a theory, that if I had heavy metal poisoning in my system, and it was in my cells, and even if it's in my blood cells, you know, because we've got iron, does it replace the iron in heme? Does it affect, I'm going to have to look more into metal poisoning, but does it affect like mitochondrial action, where you're making energy? I'm guessing it does because I was getting more and more tired, and I had to keep, all of a sudden, every, I don't know, 3 months, the supplements would just stop working until I added more. And then I was okay. And that's when I said, and then I tried to take some away, and I was like, huh, this immune one took that away, and I had more pain in my liver. Okay, well that didn't work. Tried to take, you know, another one away. That was bad, you know, because then I had bleeding from places that shouldn't. And then I tried taking the D-stone gall away, because I had passed stones. And all of a sudden my tooth, this particular tooth, oh my gosh, I cut it back in half. This is all last week, by the way. And I cut it back in half, and then, and it was Adventures in Healing. And this tooth started to throb. And I turned to Jill with my eyes, you know, squinty. And I said, can you give me the D-stone gall? Because that was the only thing I had changed. I took it, 20 minutes later, no tooth pain. None. None.
So the stones were related to the tooth?
That would be my guess.
Same meridian, probably.
Well, there are a lot of gallbladder points in the head. Because I was having, you know, I'm still, with the head pain, there's one spot in here that still needs to heal. So by that process, I thought, well, gosh, if that is affecting this right-sided pain, then maybe something's going on with my teeth. Called the dentist. I asked Jill what she thought. She said, don't know. And I said, because I'm getting more and more tired every day. And then my bones were starting to pit or cup, as you felt. And I thought, gosh, that's bone related. It's right where the blood vessel goes over the tibia. And it's happening on both sides. And, you know, all the areas that were painful were old injuries. And I was like, huh. And I'm not quite sure how that all fits in yet, but I thought, well, let's try getting rid of the mercury and see if that makes a difference. It was the same day, but within 24 hours, my organs started working better. And I was like, whoa, I started feeling less tired. My headaches started dissipating. It just felt different. And then like today, I took a nap, and I'm still taking oils to boost my immune system and chelate any heavy metals. But that's what we do with the DreamWeaving technique, because I wasn't diagnosable before. Nobody knew. I had this long list of diagnoses, and I said to my MD, what's wrong? You know, but what's the central cause of all of this? Because usually even if there are 4 causes, all the MD said was there's just a lot happening.
Did you check the level of your metals with the hair test?
Not yet. Not yet. So I thought about it, but we've got a whole slew of tests going right now. We just got a blood test done. We're getting a whole panel
The water in Santa Fe has a lot of fluoride and arsenic and something else.
And we use deionized water, we drink deionized water or distilled water with the nanovital water, and that has been huge because it changes the frequency of, it stabilizes the frequency of the water molecule, which then stabilizes the DNA, and it helps stabilize that hydrogen bond between, in that DNA double helix, there's a hydrogen bond in between the two strands, and that gets stabilized, and somehow the cells are said to fix themselves. It's similar to that water that you were speaking about, except there's no sodium chloride added. It's just, it comes in a small bottle. It looks like an oil bottle, so it's close to my heart. Ooh, it's just a little bottle. It's $45, and it lasts. Oh, we've used it with flowers. We put it in the flowers.
I don't want to extend this too long because you have to give a class. But
Yeah.
when I was in Connecticut,
But this is part of it.
I was taking a exercise class with a Chinese man. And he didn't have books, he didn't have videos, nothing. He would come to the senior center and he would give these classes.
Yeah.
And he also gave the classes at the Greenwich Hospital and Norwalk Hospital
Okay.
with cancer patients. And he told us to put water in a blender for 5 minutes and then freeze it.
Okay.
And then get the bottle out and drink it very slowly. He thought that that was super water. I had an objection to freezing the water in plastic.
Oh, I would too.
So I don't know if we could do it with glass without breaking.
If you left enough room in the water for
Probably.
expansion, you should be okay.
I guess that the blending changes the molecular structure of things, because yogurt, if you put it in the blender, it's much easier to digest because it changes the molecular structure.
Oh, interesting. It increases its vibration. Ooh, we're going to talk about that. Shall we hand this out? You didn't even know that. So we're going to talk about chemistry, little physics. We're going to practice the sleeping lion pose again. And then we're going to come into our little horseshoe discussion. So actually what we were talking about, I was talking about my own experience with my health, but it ties in with DreamWeaving technique because so often, 80% of all disease is etiology unknown. We don't know what the cause is. So one of those is for you. Oh, we don't know, I think. Oh no, those are two seconds. And if that's the case, then what we're doing is we keep putting a Band-Aid on top of some problems, a Band-Aid on top of the problems that continue to occur unless you get to the cause. Or unless you get to several causes. There may be more than one cause. But what we're not looking to do is just cover things. That's why with DreamWeaving technique, we go for the core first. And then we look, in whatever falls away, once we strengthen the core, if everything falls away, boy, you nailed it. You got it. It was easy. 3 to 5 oils, good to go. But that's your core. It might change or shift as you change and shift and evolve. But you're good to go. But if it doesn't take care of everything, then you can be more specific and target specific aspects, symptoms, whatever's going on with your system. But you always keep that core there. So that's why, and I looked at it and I thought, gosh, I have to keep adding supplements, and that's not healing. Something is still wrong in there. I can still function day to day, but, not 100%. But I was still thinking, gosh, there must be something else going on if I have to keep. And what happens with people, as a nurse you see that, right? As a vet tech you see this. What happens when something stops working? Do they take away medications? Like I was trying to take away supplements. to see if I got the cord and am I truly healing? Because the body wants to balance itself. But what do? You get more, and then you might get more medication to offset the, the effects of the one that they just gave you, and next thing you know, somebody's on 5, 6, 10 meds. Fast, right. But so, and then they don't always, this isn't getting to the cause. If that's the case, and then what do they do when you go to Mayo Clinic? From what I understand, they take you off all meds, test you, let's find out what's really going on, and go from there. What do they do do they do the same thing in a veterinarian's?
Yeah, it's usually like, oh, we think it's this or that, here, take a drug.
And then if that doesn't work, do they add another one, or do they take that one away?
God's been so long. Usually I've heard many times, well, let's try another one and see if that works or not. They do that more than just, let's, up the dose or add on another one.
Well, that seems reasonable to me, though, instead of adding on, we're doing the same thing. Really, it's trial and error. That's how you know if an oil is working for you or not, or if a supplement is working, or if an exercise. And that's why we tried so many different things in class, and then we give you the background as to what our theory is, why we think it's affecting your system the way it is. DreamWeaving technique is a theory. It's a theory that we're applying to my health, but all of our patients that come in, if they're human, we apply it to them. Holy moly, it's working the same way. We're testing it with the Casper device. Now we've got empirical evidence that was well beyond our wild streams. Well beyond. We test our students. Holy cow, you can just take the classes. If you take the whole series of classes, your waveform gets healthier and all the numbers get healthier. And it's just like, gosh, you could just take a class and have a huge effect on your health if you're practicing on a regular basis. Wow, cool. We work with animals. Well, no, and we've got evidence to show that animals are getting better too. And they're not thinking, ooh, this must be working. They're not, there is no aspect of that where they're saying, ooh, oh yeah, well, this must be working. I believe in it, so therefore it must work. I think they're just like, oh yeah, you're here, wag, wag. Okay, oh, it feels so good. I smell awesome, and then they go run and play with their friends, and they probably forgot that we were even there until we show up again, and then you're those ladies that I want you first, and then they hop over to my lap, and then to her lap, and they'll pick their own oils out, and it's really amazing to see that happen. One of the ways that we pick out some of the oils is via chemistry. Okay. Some people like their science, the real sciencey stuff. And if people have questions from the previous classes, please write it down and we'll get to it at the end with our horseshoe discussion. Okay, please write it down and we will get to it at the end. Sorry, I need to put my foot up. So with chemistry, we're gonna break it down in a simple way in this chart here. Isn't this a lovely chart I made for you? Nice. Easy to read.
Pretty colors.
Pretty colors, yes. So you can see we've got 4 columns. The chemical groups, we've got 2 main chemical groups. Isn't it fun? We're making science. Usually when I would teach science, I would go up to the board, I would be all sciencey, except I wouldn't have my white coat on. And I would draw some things out. And this is what an isoprene unit looks like. This is terpene. And this is, they're connected head to tail, and so that's how they work. But I thought it would be more fun because we like to have the science balanced with woo-woo, and we like our woo-woo balanced with science. So that's what we're doing. That's how we're doing our horseshoe discussion. So we've got 2 chemical groups. We've got hydrocarbons and oxygenated compounds, and that's listed in your chart. all the way to the left-hand side. Okay, in this basic chemistry essential oil chart. Okay? So we're only going to talk about 2 hydrocarbons, monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes. So is a monoterpene and a sesquiterpene, is it a hydrocarbon or an oxygenated compound? Hydrocarbon, okay? By the time you leave here, you're gonna say, man, I learned something today. Okay, and I already know it that I can, so I can use it. Okay, so oxygenated compound, we've got 6 listed. Okay, we've got alcohols, esters and aldehydes. Remember I put those together because they do kind of similar things. We've got ketones, phenols, and oxides. Okay, you can find that all in there. And then I went to the trouble to find out what the end of a word would look like. We've got a prefix and a suffix. So because that dash is there in the beginning, we've got that suffix in there. Okay, so something that ends with "ene" might be considered a monoterpene or a sesquiterpene. In this case, I kept it simple. Nice, huh?
Very nice.
What are the 2 hydrocarbons we've got listed?
Monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes.
Okay, sweet. Something else, if I say something is L-limonene, does it fit with any of these ending suffixes with OL, IL-8, something aldehyde, ol, or ol oxide? No.
It's an even terpene.
They're all different, right? So we've got all the suffixes listed down here, just in case you come across a chemical and you're like, I wonder what that is. Okay, but you'll notice that phenols may end in an OL, oxides may end in an OL, and alcohols may end in an OL, right? So with that, you're going to have to look things up a little more thoroughly. That's fair enough. I mean, I think we broke this down so it makes it easy.
We get a general idea.
That's
Start looking.
right. I mean, it's just a chart, and when you look up all this stuff in a book, doesn't look like this. Right? We want to make it easy for someone to just grab this and say, okay, I'm going to look up a chemical compound and what the chemical constituents are of an oil, and I want to understand what it might do. So, okay, so we've got our list here as an alcohol or an aldehyde. Is that a hydrocarbon or an oxygenated compound? Because we've only got 2 listed hydrocarbons, right? You know this already. That's easy, okay? Is an oxide a hydrocarbon or an oxygenated compound?
Oxygenated compound.
Yeah, you can figure that out even without looking, because you're ta-da, you've already learned something useful. It took 3 minutes. Sweet. So weed, if I could look at, he's nodding, he's like, yeah, that's sweet. I already know my stuff, man. All right, so monoterpenes are small. Okay? They help discharge existing toxins from the liver and kidneys. They're found in almost every essential oil there is out there. And I've got little oil examples on the side. Is that cool or what?
Very cool.
Okay. And I happen to bring them with me. And I brought them with me. Okay, so good examples of monoterpenes would be all the citrus oils. Now keep in mind, citrus oils are pressed, cold pressed from the rind. We talked 2 weeks ago about steam distillation. Okay, here's a difference. This is different. Cold pressed from the rind. Okay, so citrus oils and pines and things that are distilled from conifers tend to have a high amount of monoterpenes. Okay, and then we've got sesquiterpenes too. Sesquiterpenes, well, you can read in the chart, they're liver and gland stimulants, and they can cross the blood-brain barrier. and that's in your chart. Examples of that, like cedar wood, has the highest amount of sesquiterpenes that I'm aware of. But we've also got them in frankincense, Palo Santo, myrrh, sandalwood, things like that.
What's
So-
the common denominator in those?
Common
Sesquiterpenes?
I know, other than the sesquiterpene, because the oils that you're mentioning are exotic oils that I can't see biologically, that they're necessarily from, similarities. I'm trying to class them like citrus and conifers.
Well, in this case, it's difficult to do that. Oftentimes it's something that's distilled from sap, but in the case of Palo Santo, it's distilled from the heartwood. And the tree has to have been dead for 3 years, at least, in order for the oil to get into the heartwood. Some people say 15 years, so that you have the therapeutic effects. So what we're looking at, the common denominator for all of those oils is sesquiterpenes. So now we're going in the opposite direction. We're saying, okay, we want you to be able to look at a chemical formula and say, this has monoterpenes in it, so this should help expel toxins and make sure that they don't show up in the first place. Sweet, okay, I get that. L-limonene is considered an anti-tumoral molecule. And where do you find it? In our inexpensive citrus oils. Grapefruit, orange, lemon. Here comes the orange. Lime. Yep. And here's the frankincense. So the orange is an example of monoterpene. And the sesquiterpenes are going that way. Okay, monoterpenes, sesquiterpenes. Orange oil, if we looked it up in the back of that book for safety data, it's photosensitive.
So don't go in the sun.
So don't go in the sun. If you put it on your skin, don't go in the sun for 3 days.
Which one is?
3 days.
Citrus.
Or put it in a place where the sun don't shine. But that's not sensitive. Okay. Or, what's the best way to apply a citrus oil? What's the best way, does anybody know the best way to ingest it? Yes. Yes, put it in your water. Ooh, you
But so
love
if
that.
you ingest it and then you go in the sun,
You're
then
fine.
You're fine.
It's
Oh,
only when you
okay.
put it on your skin. Now, sesquiterpenes, on the other hand, tend to be soothing to the skin. Right? You can put that on a mucous membrane or a sensitive area and still, I want to take a whiff. Yum it up, okay? And you can still, what was I saying? Don't know. Oh, it's good for the skin. Then it's good for the skin. You can put it on your skin. It's
Which one?
This one with sesquiterpenes. They're
Okay.
anti-inflammatory. And they can cross the blood-brain barrier. A lot of these oils with high sesquiterpenes tend to be anti-tumoral. There's research out there that also shows that it helps oxygenate pineal and pituitary glands. But it can cross the blood-brain barrier. I mean, how cool is that? It makes sense. We've got essential, even though this is a hydrocarbon, it may be a sesquiterpene alcohol, because those things get combined. We didn't quite go that far into it. We're keeping it simple. But a sesquiterpene alcohol may help oxygenate tissues and it can get in there deeper. It's pretty amazing. Makes a difference. So you see how knowing the chemistry can make a difference right then and there?
Yeah.
Just knowing the chemical constituents. When you're purchasing, where's that? Aha, here it is. Pass this over. Show can. So we've got, okay. So after 2 weeks ago, I know that she's really amazing. 1, So now in this, remember last time we talked about how the way things are distilled is important? So if we go to, so what I did is I printed off, went to the National Association for Holistic Aromatherapy, and they've got facts on aromatherapy safety. We want to tie this into other classes, okay? When you go, I thought I would just print this out so that you have this and you know you have a website to go to. Look at this. What information should I ask for when purchasing essential oils? Okay. How do I know if an essential oil is pure? One of the things that's listed is, they can do physiochemical tests, including thin layer chromatography, blah, 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 gas chromatography / mass spectrometer. And you want to make sure that the cylinder, is at least 60 columns high, because you want to get, there are up to 300 to 800 different compounds within an essential oil. 300 to 800. You want to get the main ones listed. You want to make sure the science is behind from the company that you are purchasing your oil from. We're not going to say get your oil from this company or that company. I think that's a personal choice. But you already have all the questions to ask. You want to make sure it's grown in a pure way. Distilled in a container that's not going to leach metal in there.
But you don't actually go to see their laboratories, you just have to trust them, because they can say anything.
Absolutely they can. They can, and you want to make sure it's tested by a technician that knows what they're doing, because yes, they can say anything. And even with this gas chromatography mass spec device, you can still have, additives can still have a quality analysis sheet done on that, but it could still be adulterated. So all it's doing is listing the chemicals, so that isn't foolproof either. You really have to trust your source and make sure that they really care about the oils that they're producing and selling.
Since we're talking about the citrus, why do they say that the lemon oil helps with weight management?
Well,
Does it burn your fats or what?
it may help break down fats. But think about that. Isn't that what it does? Lemon Fresh Joy, right? Don't we use Lemon Fresh Joy? I happen to know for sure lemon tangerine helps take the sap off your chainsaw. After you've been around. And so does grapefruit, right? Right? Citrus oils.
They clean.
They clean. They help emulsify. They're helping to, well, look what it's doing. It's detoxifying. Did we just say that? It helps detoxify kidneys, what's the components in the kidney and liver? Well, I was like, I don't know how to, I couldn't get it off with the regular cleaner I bought at the store, and I was like,
Clean your chains.
let me try, well, let's see,
Quote that.
this is,
Chainsaw.
right, cleans chainsaws, well, the sap off the chainsaw, so I thought, well, let's try this, bless you.
Regular
And-
oils work very well. I've taken sap off of dogs for years, just using regular oil. Really helps to get it off, any kind of oil.
That's because but if it's adhered to metal versus hair or skin, I think we've got a different issue. Because regular oil won't take it off the chainsaw, it just smears it.
But if you cut raw artichokes and your fingers turn black, you
Ooh.
put them in lemon, fresh lemon, and it completely clears.
Awesome.
I eat a lot of artichokes.
I
I was like, I had no idea. Wow.
They're my primary food group. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, they're very good for the liver, and I'm Italian.
I eat them every day.
That's her excuse.
It's very rare a day goes by I don't have artichokes, but my hands have never turned black. Sorry.
Really?
Burning.
If you cut them and take the leaves out, many of them, like whole
This is
pods.
useful. I think this is awesome.
Wow.
Useful
Not
stuff.